Hi VC, back with part 2 on the flea market days. In this segment, I think I titled this one, The Other Flea Market. In the first video I spoke about the flea market that was walking distance from my house. I go there every Sunday. I went there for almost 10 years, I think, before it closed up. There was a second flea market which was about a 20-minute drive from my house. I used to go there once a month, and as I mentioned in the previous video, in the early days of the flea market, my sort of limit was $5 on any given record, because back in the early days I wasn't a collector, I was just buying used records. What happened over time, year and a half, when you're restricted to the $1 bin, $2 bin, $5 bin, after a while you start seeing the same records over and over. Nothing new in that price range. So that was the case when I went to the second flea market there one Sunday and looked in the $1, $2, $5 bins, and I didn't find anything that was any good. I already owned. So I decided, well, you know, I'll look in the other bins now, bins that are like start at $10 and the sky is the limit, just to see what's in there, because I always hated to walk away from a flea market with nothing when I go vinyl hunting. So I started looking at this row of records where it's $10 plus. And right away I came across 2 records that I immediately recognized. Let's just pull the covers off these so you can see them a bit better. The 2 records that I came across were Tommy James and the Shondells. This one has their hits of Crimson and Clover and Crystal Blue Persuasion. The other one, the Chamber Brothers, Time Has Come. So I don't remember well. One of these was priced at 10, the other was priced at 15. And I'm looking at them going, oh my God, I can remember those when I was a kid. I love those songs. Used to hear them on the radio. They were fantastic. I really want these records. But if I buy these 2 records, that's $25. $25 for 2 records. That's insane. Even just thinking about it, my heart started to skip a few beats. And I just stared and stared, and finally I said, fine, I'll do it. I'm going to pay $25 for 2 used records. I bought the records. I almost fainted walking out of the store. I was so lightheaded having spent $25 on 2 records. And when I got home, played the records, and absolutely loved them. I played them all week long. I was so happy that I got them. And that was it. So those 2 records broke the ice. I was no longer between the $1 and $5 bins. Now I started looking at all the records that were in the flea market. And actually, it only took a very short period of time, maybe 4 or 5 months, where I went from an upper limit of $5 to an upper limit of $100. So clearly I was insane by that point. Anyway, so the second flea market, they only had 2 vendors that were really any good. There's a couple other vendors that sold records, but they were all Ray Conniff and Anne Murray. And I'm not really into those dudes. So I stuck with these 2 guys. And it was interesting. So one of the 2, he had a pretty big booth, always had lots of records. One day I came up, there's a box of records on the floor, no pricing. So I said to him, how much are your records in this box? And he said they're all $5 each. So I started flipping through them, and it was the usual stuff that I would see in $5 boxes, whether ABBA's Greatest Hits, Boss Gigs, Boston, you know, that sort of stuff. And I got right to, I think it was like the second last record. It was a James Brown original King pressing from the 50s. And I knew from looking on eBay that record was definitely worth a lot more than $5. So I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the vendor, I say, he's a pretty good guy. He's always giving me good deals on records. So I said, I'm going to be a nice guy here. So I handed him the James Brown record and I said, are you sure you want to sell this for $5? And he went and referenced a book. I couldn't believe it. Here's a guy in business selling used vinyl, and he doesn't know what he's got when he's got this 50s James Brown pressing. So he gets to the page and he looks at what the record is worth, and you could see his eyes just pop open. And then he started to stutter and he goes, no, I don't think I can sell that for $5. And because he was on the hook after having been committed to saying he would sell for $5. So I said, I'll tell you what, you hang on to that record and give it some thought to what you think you should price it at. So in the meantime, I did pull 3 records out of the box. I pulled out a Nancy Sinatra, Adventures, and the third one was some garage thing. So that would have been $15 for 3 records. I went to pay him and he said, take the records. So I guess he appreciated that I let him off the hook. And when I went back the next week, he had the James Brown up on the wall, priced at $100. Same vendor, about 4 weeks later. I come up to him, box of records on the floor there. I said, how much are your records in the box? It's $5. So I started flipping through them. I came across this one. This is a record that when I first popped my head, I said, yeah, I remember this one as a kid. I want to get it. And I went on eBay, and I literally fell off my chair when I saw at that time what they were going for. They were going consistently for over $100. And I said, what the F? I can't believe that. I mean, keep in mind, this is like 12 years ago or something. But the record was The Beginning of the End, Funky NASA, the original pressing in Allstone. Back when I looked at that one, like I said, consistently on eBay at that point in time, it was $100. So I said, thought to myself, I let him off the hook about 4 weeks ago, not a second time. I said, here's your $5, and walked out with it. Picked up a lot of good records at that, and considering it's only 2 vendors, but a few that were interesting. This was a $5 record. San Francisco Roots. This is the songs of the originators of the San Francisco psychedelic sound. So there's some pretty good stuff on there. There's one on there, Night Rider I. It's one of my favorites, a very garagey tune. Here's one I thought. This was a blind buy. I had no idea what it was, and I just looked at it and I just had to feel. I said, this kind of looks kind of psychedelic to me, and I can't remember if it was $10 or $15. This is a US 69. Not knowing what I bought, I obviously went back home and checked eBay. This was 2014 I bought this record. So $15, like I said, blind buy, don't know what I had. Went on eBay, and for this record, the winning bid was $120. So that's a bit of a grill there. Good blind buy. Example of a good garage band, bearings. I bought this. So that vendor that I was telling you about, who didn't know the James Brown, I used to hang out sometimes for about an hour at his booth, and just talking and playing records, and just hanging out. One day he was playing a record when I came up there, and I ended up listening to the whole record, and I said, "Man, I got a record off you. How much you want for it?" And I forget what I think he wanted 25 for it, and I said, "Yeah, okay." Like, again, I never heard of these guys, but it wasn't a blind buy because I just listened to it, and this was "The Damnation of Adam Blessing." So the following week I went back and I saw him. I said, "Man, I really like that Adam Blessing. I've been playing it all week." And he had the saddest look on his face, and he was saying, "I have seller's regret." And I said, "What? I gave you that was a fair price. That's like an eBay price." He goes, "No, no, I wanted that record for my own personal collection." I said, "Well, hey, too late now. It's gone." So anyway, I just want to check here. Well, yeah, one of my biggest fails when I was buying records, whether it be at the flea market or vinyl shows, is I never really negotiated prices. I would look at a record. If I thought it was priced fairly, I bought it. If I thought it was overpriced, I put it back and walked away. Very rarely did I ever ask a vendor if they would come down in price. And an example where that really backfired, so at that vendor, James Brown vendor, walked up to his booth one day and he had the two Catfish albums, original pressings. I'm not sure, I think it was Epic label, I can't be sure. It was Catfish Live, the two of them. He had them priced at $30 each. I thought that was way too high. So I'm staring at them. They're up on the display wall. And I'm just staring at them. And I'm going, "That's $60 for two records. I think I'm going to walk away." And right at that point in time, some guy walks out and says, "I'll give you $30 for the two Catfish albums." And he goes, "Sold." And I think, Jesus Christ, I would have given him $30 for the two Catfish albums. So, in hindsight, try and negotiate. That was one of my weaknesses for sure. One of my big fails. Never really a good negotiator. One last story with that vendor. So I would visit him at least once a month on a Sunday, and I noticed up on the wall, the display wall, he had this record here, the Partridge Family Shopping Bag. Now I already had I got all the Partridge Family albums for $2 each at the flea market that was by my house, but in the case of the copy I got from my flea market, it didn't have the shopping bag in it. It was just the record. And so this one, his copy, had the shopping bag, and he was asking $10. And like I said, I thought, that's way too much, and I'm not a negotiator, so I walked away. And I have to say, it must have been a year and a half, 18 months, that record was on the wall for $10. I can't believe a record stayed there that long. Nobody bought it. And all I was obsessed about was the stupid shopping bag. So I finally said to him one week I walked in, "I'll give you $5 for that Partridge Family record," because all I want is to pay. And he says, "Sold." And I walked out of there happy. After a year and a half, I finally got that Partridge Family record with the shopping bag in it. Went back the following week, so normally I go like once a month or so. I went back the following week, and he was gone. The booth was empty, and I said to the other vendors, "Where is he? What happened?" And they said his health was failing, and so he's gone. Gone for good. I thought, man, it's amazing. Finally, on the very last weekend he was there, I made a deal with him on a record and got it, or otherwise I would have never gotten it. So that's sort of a few stories on the other flea market that I used to visit occasionally. And so there will be a part 3, and the part 3 is where I started buying more expensive albums. Now I'm starting to get into the collector mode come the next video. We'll title that one The Middle Years. So stay tuned, same bat time, same bat channel for the next video.